what underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough. And nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. Data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds. Science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm. So after 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are entering the era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. So does the data about my DNA, my brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me or to some corporation or to the government or perhaps to the human collective? Humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
Vaccine won't help us go to
the
the
vaccine
test, of course.
will help us, of course. It will make things, more manageable. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example, it's you who are changed. Yeah, and of course this has a big impact on your identity.
Yeah. And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. When you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. And, of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year.
Talk about technology and how the ways it can be deployed, that contribute to growth rather than exacerbate unemployment. How will that implement itself?
It's a big question mark, because there is a fear that technology, robots, just to take one
you gain
element,
productivity from machines.
Exactly, and it replaces maybe the workforce or jobs faster than we can replace them with new jobs. Not everybody can be a robot polisher and so on, so there will be new jobs.
Portion of it, but I wanted you to see what Dr. Zelenko was talking about. So what, obviously listeners know this is horrific, but what are we hearing here? Because this is a open, in my view, declaration of war against our very existence. And hey, he said, your free will, forget about it, it's gone. Well, that doesn't sound like something a good guy says to me, Dr. Zelenko.
You really want to know what motivates him?
What?
So he's a brilliant man. It's not, I think it's important to respect your adversary and their capabilities. He has a PhD from Oxford. He's influenced the most powerful people in the world. But what really motivates him is something much more simple. He's learned. He knows the Bible very well. And if he knows the Bible very well, he knows what God says, or what is stated in the Bible, what is right and what is wrong. Now, I'm going to say this not because I'm placing a value judgment, but because how he interprets it. Now, I personally believe people could live any way they want, and it's between them and God. So I'm not God's policeman. But he's a homosexual, and he's married to someone, a man, his name is Yitzhak. And he knows what the Bible, he mentioned it earlier, he has real problems with it. He knows what the Bible says about homosexuality. It's called an abomination. And it really, really pisses him off. And so from his worldview, it's not enough. Go live your life quietly, any way you want. No. He decided that he's going to take on God, and he's going to invalidate the concept of God in people's minds, because in his worldview, God cannot exist. Because if God exists and there's a right and wrong, then he has a big problem in his mind. There's this cognitive dissonance, and then there's this emotional turbulence and guilt, and he gets anxious. So literally the whole world has to suffer because Yuval Noah Harari's sexual orientation is not in line with what he read in the Bible, and therefore he has to try to destroy God consciousness in humanity.
I mean, that's really exactly what it is. They are in rebellion against the code we've been given to be successful. We have free will to follow it or not. And he has decided to not just rebel, but to go 180 degrees in the opposite direction, which is extremely powerful because it's antichrist. It's anti-human. It's anti-God consciousness.